This is the story of writing for December 11th, 2024. On this day in 1941, Germany and Italy declared war on the United States. This was a reciprocal declaration. Just a few days earlier, the U.S. formally announced that it was at war with the Empire of Japan for its surprise attack on U.S. naval forces in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. In response to Germany and Italy's war footing against the U.S., Congress declared war on those two nations as well. And it was on this day in 2020 that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued its emergency use authorization for the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. It was the first vaccine approved by the agency to fight the virus, which had already been declared a global pandemic. It is the birthday of the novelist who wrote, "The simple step of a courageous individual is not to take part in the lie. One word of truth outweighs the world." Russian historian, writer, and Nobel laureate Aleksandr Solzhenitsyn was born on this day in 1918. He rose to the rank of captain in the Red Army during the Second World War. But in a private letter, he criticized the Soviet supreme leader, Joseph Stalin. For that, Solzhenitsyn was sentenced to 8 years in a gulag or forced labor camp. After his release, made possible by the slightly more lenient Soviet premier Nikita Khrushchev, Solzhenitsyn wrote the 3-volume work The Gulag Archipelago, a history of Russian and Soviet penal colonies. Soviet authorities were furious at Solzhenitsyn and his book. He was eventually stripped of his citizenship and ordered to leave the country. And it is the birthday of the storyteller who wrote, "I'm hoping to be astonished tomorrow by I don't know what." American poet, novelist, essayist, and a kind of literary legend, Jim Harrison was born on this day in 1937. He is best known for his short novels, Muscular Language, stories of old men getting older, and the often uncomfortable and not tidy reckonings experienced by his characters. Harrison knew loss. First, his left eye when he was 7. In his 20s, a drunk driver took the lives of his father and sister. And then Harrison was severely injured after he fell from a high riverbank. During the lengthy recuperation afterward, he wrote Wolf, a false memoir. It gave him a taste of modest success. A few years later, Harrison published the 3 novellas that made up Legends of the Fall, and they made him a sought-after writer. His writing is powerful, shaped by overwhelming emotions that have been tempered a bit by the natural world. His stories are messy, like a good meal. Today's reading is from The Gulag Archipelago, written by Aleksandr Solzhenitsyn and published in 1973. Macbeth's self-justifications were feeble, and his conscience devoured him. Yes, even Iago was a little lamb too. The imagination and spiritual strength of Shakespeare's evildoers stopped short at a dozen corpses, because they had no ideology. Ideology, that is what gives evildoing its long-sought justification, and gives the evildoer the necessary steadfastness and determination. That is the social theory which helps to make his acts seem good instead of bad in his own eyes and the eyes of others. And that is the story of writing for December 11th. Thanks for listening.